Well, according to my timepiece, it's 3 o'clock, almost Central Daylight Time. Hello, Paul Collins here. Otherwise, this is Sightline with Dr. C. I'm going to have a few of your minutes here, coupled with a few of my minutes, see what we can come up with. As you know, I'm a clergyman. Fancy way of talking about a preacher. Been one for a long time. Ordinarily, you'd expect the preacher to speak about things along a faith line. Well, in the background, that's there. But on the basis of that, through my eyes, I take a look at things today by sightline, what I'm seeing with my eyes. Let's start with what I'm seeing on the news. Now, mind you, today is the 14th of October, 2025, and it's 3 o'clock now, thereabouts, in Central Daylight Time in the Ozarks, beautiful Ozarks in Missouri. And so I've given you the date and the time and the place. So now this thing is identified, no matter when you may take a look at it. But today, being October the 14th, is a day that many people in this nation and perhaps countries in other parts of the world will be celebrating the birthday of the late Charlie Kirk. He's been a major topic of conversation now for 30 days following his death by assassination. So I don't know what you're feeling about it, or uh, positive, negative, neither one, whatever. But it is significant that today our president of the United States, Donald J. Trump, will be presenting posthumously the Medal of Freedom, Medal of Freedom to Charlie Kirk, probably handing it on to his widow. I don't know. I haven't been watching it to see. Uh, and then, same time, Donald Trump, our president, has just finished what seems to be a very successful trip to Israel and Egypt. And in Israel, he was welcoming home people who had been held hostage for over 2 years. And and then he spoke to the Knesset, which is like their parliament or their Congress. And of course, he went from there to Egypt. I think it was a 23-minute flight aboard Air Force One. Wouldn't that be quite a trip? And in Egypt, he met with many uh, heads of state, world leaders, and apparently they all signed off on a peace agreement between Israel and Hamas involving Gaza. A lot's happening in the world. Um, it seems like the Antifa people, those that are, or Antifada, however you want to pronounce it, people who are supposedly opposed to fascism, they are extreme liberals, um, for the most part, at the back of it. And they uh, oppose most anything that the Trump administration is doing. And they oppose most anything that Israel is doing. What a world. What a world. Now, I've become convinced now that I'm 90 years old. In fact, almost 90 and a half. Time flies when you're having fun, as they say. But I'm beginning to be suspicious of anybody's opinion if they were born uh, prior to 1945, or were, unless they were born prior to 1945. I was born in 35, so uh, anybody born after 1945 would be 10 years younger than me at least. And I have to wonder if they have enough experience. I remember watching uh, Ronald Reagan and Fritz Mondale debating uh, prior to presidential election. And of course, Reagan was much older than Fritz. And uh, so uh, one of Reagan's statements was, uh, in spite of his opponent's youth and inexperience, Mondale had a lot of experience, and he wasn't a young man, but Reagan was considerably older. That's sort of the way I feel about taking a look at things today. Anybody who's not at least maybe 85 years old, I begin to wonder if they've seen enough of life to know what's happening. I don't know if you find this interesting or not, but being 90 years old, I remember when the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor. It came over the radio. I heard it with these ears uh, without hearing aids when I was a kid. And I saw my mom and dad look at my brother Wilbur and my brother Bob because they were old enough, to be caught in the war. And they were. They went in the Seabees, enlisted, ended up in North Africa. I think they were in North Africa like 22 months, but during the wartime, they but they were very involved, and so was an uncle and others. Neighbors were very involved. It was a unique time in American history, World War II days. Yes, I remember. So when I look at what's going on today, old Dr. C has a Sightline that's somewhat based on where I've come from, where I've been, what I saw, what I heard, what I remembered, and I still remember. Politically, I remember when Franklin Roosevelt was president. He was president when World War II broke out. And for many years, he was the only president I knew because, he served 3 full terms, was elected his fourth term, served maybe a couple of months of it before he died with a massive stroke at his summer White House in Georgia, Hot Springs, Georgia. Um, and I remember when the man from Missouri, Harry S. Truman, stepped into the shoes of the presidency because he was the vice president, had been vice president like 2 months. Now he's president. And Harry Truman is the guy that made the huge decision to use an atomic bomb. In fact, he made that decision twice. 2 atomic bombs were dropped on the nation of Japan, effectively ending World War II. So again, when I see situations today, I'm looking at things through the eyes of someone who's been on the earth a long time. And all this talk now about whether or not Vladimir Putin would use nuclear weapons because of this war that he has with Ukraine. I like to back up and take a look at things. I'm not bothered by what Ukraine was or might have been and all the speculation people have concerning that little country as to whether or not it was being run by Nazis. I heard that, or who it was being run by, or if it was the underworld, and I don't know all this kind of stuff. All I know is they hadn't attacked anybody. And then Russia, with overwhelming force, attacked. What's it been like 3 years? And they haven't been able to subdue little Ukraine. Millions, they say thousands, I think more like millions, have lost their lives as a result. Who does Vladimir Putin think he is anyway? So there's another case of a war that's kind of hard to understand why. I can't find any justification for it. Why couldn't they just live side by side? I don't think Ukraine was going to overrun Russia. And whatever their beef was, surely they could have sat down and talked a lot before they took military action. But consequently, Putin still holding over the heads of the world the potential of a nuclear war. How stupid can you be? He's obviously not very smart because unless he's got a really deep hole to get into, he wouldn't survive a nuclear exchange. And if he did and he came out of a hole, he wouldn't find anything. And the air would be so radioactive he couldn't breathe it without dying. Nobody gains. Nobody gains with that. Come on, listen to me. And then I'll come back to that in a little bit. But then I think about this drug trafficking thing. How sad. What's wrong that some young person in the United States, where we still have relatively clean air and relatively clean water and relatively clean food supply and relatively good educational opportunities and relatively good um, standard of living, why would they take a drug that would be habit forming and personality altering and where it offers nothing but death in the final analysis? Why would they do that? I have a college degree, a university degree. I have 3 years of a master's degree following that, another 2 years for a doctorate after that. Um, a doctorate that's linked with theology and psychology. And with all of my learning, whatever I learned, all the exposure to educational things that I've been exposed to, I don't understand why anyone would purposefully, willingly, eagerly put into their body a habit forming, life destroying drug. I don't know, but they do it. It's a huge market. And so, right now, as of today, I guess our president ordered a hit on another vessel of some kind that was operated by Venezuelans and had 7 or 8 people on board trying to get drugs brought into this country. And it was in international waters and got blown out of the water. That's how many is that? 3, 4, something like that. It's happened to recently. And then, of course, our southern border during the last administration was wide open, and a lot of drugs came in that way, and likewise from our northern border. Why is the United States such a good market for drugs? We have entertainment galore, food galore, water galore, shelter galore, transportation galore, TVs galore, internet galore, 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 and they have to find something else. What's empty here? What's wrong in here that a man needs that? Then you will say, well, they watched their parents drink alcohol. That's no excuse. Or they saw their parents smoke cigarettes. That's no excuse. Come on, you know better than that. There is no excuse for these drugs. Now, some I know get hooked because of prescription drug. I don't have an easy answer for that or the other or anything. I have no easy answers for anything yet. But we have become so sophisticated with all of our medical stuff that pharmaceutical industry has become fabulously wealthy, wealth in the trillions, and influencing medical school faculty and students and hospitals and so forth. Insurance companies, they're all in it together, all bed buddies. And prescription drugs probably are too easy to come by. And because of various programs, maybe too affordable. I remember people who lived in pain all the time and worked, made a paycheck. I know some to this day who do that. So I'm not certain that we can consider a pharmaceutical drug as an excuse to be hooked on a drug. Might be a gateway, but still, somewhere along the line, you have to draw the line, don't you? Another thing I'm looking at, sightline wise, is the problem of obesity. My, every day I see people who are huge. And every day I see people who aren't huge, but they are obese. Fast food places all over our community, every place. Uh, Coffee places you drive through that you can get stuff that's coffee with a whole lot of other frothy stuff that's very fattening and high sugar content. And we are sugar holics and fat holics and carb holics. We've become an unhealthy nation. We're living, our average life span now is less than it was a number of years ago. It's going down because of health and in spite of pharmaceuticals. Now they have a drug that you can buy with a prescription. You can pay for it and inject yourself, I guess, in the tummy or someplace every day or whatever and lose weight. Come on. Whatever happened to exercise? Whatever happened to eating right? Whatever happened to cooking at home instead of eating out all the time? Whatever happened to making a pot of coffee at home, leaving the cream and sugar out of it, and the frothy stuff, and if you need a zip, have a swig of it and go on. What's wrong with us anyway? Well, not us. Them. Hopefully it's not you. And then we have people who have problems with their money. I remember when credit was despised. It was a bad word. Nobody wanted to have good credit. Now everybody wants good credit because we have credit bureaus who say you have to have good credit. We have banks who say, well, we go by what the credit bureaus say. That's whether or not we're going to loan you money. I tell you, you'll never get in debt if you never borrow money. What a revolutionary thought. You have a debt problem? Means you have a spending problem. Spending more than what you're taking in. Stop it. Stop it. All right. I've used up about 15 minutes of your time. Now, let me use a little bit more of your time to go back and deal with some of these things. What about this war issue and nuclear weapons and so forth, and that threat? I think if you look at the root of it, you will always find money and power, or power and money. Power breeds money, the greed for it, and the greed for money and having money breeds power, and you want more power. Our politicians in this nation, they're a good example of people who really aren't following the interests of the people unless it's going to pay off for them in the long run in terms of more money and power and more power to get more money. The president of China, for him, it's all about money to have power and then more power to have more money. Same with Putin. I will say this, no matter what you think about Donald Trump, being a billionaire when he was elected president, he's still a billionaire. Oh, he's worth a few billion less than what he was back before he ran for president the first time. But, you know, a billion here and a billion there, pretty soon you're rich. Anyway, he doesn't take his salary, he gives it away. His salary as president. So I don't think he's doing it for his money, maybe indirectly. Of course, I understand that because he's a businessman and he has very expensive real estate holdings, etc. I understand, sure. So, you know, you can't kid an old kidder, and I'm not blowing smoke. But, you know, on the other hand, there are those that went into office with basically nothing. Now they're multimillionaires. How did that happen? On the salary of a congressman or a senator. I don't think it happened on that salary. And you know it didn't. So do I. Power can get you money, then the money can get you more power. So it is money. But it's not the money that's the root of all evil. As the scripture says, it's the love of money. And people love money because they love power, and they love power because they love money. And it creates wars. And Jesus said there'd be wars and rumors of wars, but the end is not yet. Well, we've been having the wars and rumors of war now for 2,000 years since he left the earth. Could it be that we're 2,000 years closer to the end? probably. So war, I don't know. I don't know if we'll end up fighting Venezuela. I don't know what we'll do in the Middle East. I don't know what we'll do about Iran. I don't know what we'll do about Ukraine and Russia. I don't know what we'll do about China and Taiwan. I don't know. You probably don't know. The heads of state, they probably don't know. But anyway, even as Donald Trump has ended 8 wars, he has not ended all war. Only one person will end all wars, and that person is Jesus Christ of Nazareth. But now, let me take you then into the arena of the drug trade. Remember, somebody started this because they could get money, and it would give them more power to get more money. Same formula, but instead of it being a military deal, now it's a paramilitary deal, and it's a drug industry. Way back when we had the crime families in this country, and they got rich because of prohibition, and that's a story in and of itself. If you don't know about it, look it up. Some of you young guys, Google prohibition, see what you come up with. It has to do with alcohol. Anyway, we had the mobs, and now we have drugs, and it's about greed, it's about money, it's about power. And people are willing to be victimized, willing to take something into their mouth and swallow it, or sniff it up their nose, or inject it in their arm, so that they get to feeling light as a feather, I guess, and or high as a kite for a while. And then when they come down, it hurts, so they got to have a fix. They got to get back up again. And stupid is the person who takes the first drug. Stupid. And then even when it comes to prescription drugs, pharmaceuticals, be very careful, folks. I had a heart attack a number of years ago. I had a widowmaker, but my wife's not a widow. I'm still alive. Thanks be to Jesus. That's another story. But I have 3 stents and a pacemaker. Pacemaker I have has 3 wires. That's the most you can have. They say that the bottom part of my heart on its own only works 1% of the time. The 99% is done by this little machine right here, implanted. I call it my gizmo, and I say it's my buddy. Well, anyway, I can tell you as one experienced with some medicine, be careful. Be very careful. We had a good friend who was a medical doctor, and he was brilliant and had a huge practice. He said, all medicine is poison. If you don't believe so, take a look at the potential side effects of a pharmaceutical drug. I know I have gotten rid of, let's see, 1, 2, 3, about 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I've gotten rid of 8 drugs. I'm down to 1, 2, 3 that are considered necessary. And one of those I think I can get rid of. I could probably get rid of all of them. And I'm 90 years old. But watch what you eat, and then don't turn a blind eye to some natural stuff. Find out who knows something about naturopathic medicine, naturopathic cures and improvements. I was reared on home remedies. My mom knew how to make medicine on the kitchen stove. And anyway, that's another story. But check it out. Some of you younger ones, get online, check it out. You'll find out that there are some common spices that are good for blood pressure and all kinds of things. And then watch out for fungus. Any fungus, fungi can be a killer. And I can tell you, if ladies can get a yeast infection, so can men. But you either starve a fungus or you kill it. And your doctor isn't trained in that, may not want to hear about it, but he or she try them and find out and do your own research. So medicine, be careful, be careful. Then obesity, folks, it's very important to take a look at what you're eating and when you're eating it and how much of it you're eating. I'm not perfect in any of this. I'm telling you, I have an appetite. I wake up in the morning hungry and I go to bed hungry. Uh, I've been hungry a long time. When I was 20 years old, I weighed a little over 200 pounds, and my brothers all weighed about 250, my older brothers. And I started trying to control what I ate. And in order to stay at that level, I was hungry. Yeah, won't deny it. I was hungry. And then a few years ago, I had that heart attack. I went on a diet, an eating plan, and brought my weight down to 168. And that felt so much better. I took another step of denying myself a treat, put it to one side, got away from it. And I was down to 155. And there have been times when I've been a little over 150, but 155 is what I really 155 is what I really want as my weight. Now, I have some friends who live in Lubbock, Texas. By the way, a while ago, my stupid smartphone went off, and it's someone trying to sell me something. I'm not interested. Anyway, I have some friends from Lubbock, Texas. When they come to town, they like to eat. Restaurant food is very fattening for me. I look at it, as they say, and gain weight. When they leave, I'm always 160. And now they come back about every month and a half or 2 months. It takes me that long to get rid of those 5 pounds. See, the older you get, the slower you take weight off. Our metabolism slows down, and we are more sedentary. I sit in front of this computer more than I'm out walking, obviously. So I'll get back down to 155, and here they come again. We love having them. They're great guys, real good buddies. But we go with them when they eat out in restaurants, and I'll put those 5 pounds back on. But for my height, 160 is acceptable. Certainly, according to the charts, 155, I feel better. And when I was at 150, 151, I looked a little bit, I almost looked sick, but I felt good. So anyway, obesity for most people is a choice. I have known someone recently I visited with who had a situation that had to be corrected in order for him to lose weight and keep it off. It was a medical thing. So anyway, I've had you for a good 25 minutes here on Sightline with Dr. C. I hope if you see this, you'll hit that subscribe button and a like button and a share button, and let some other people take a look at this old 90-year-old boy sitting here in his writing room having a good time talking to you. But I'd be remiss as a clergyman if I didn't tell you that I count my longevity as a blessing from Almighty God. And so when I talk about being 90 with a 45-year-old brain, I'm bragging on God. I like to do it. God the Father, God the Son, Jesus is my Lord. He's my master. I try to do what he tells me. And God the Holy Spirit, he's my friend and my partner in this enterprise and others. So until I talk to you again, I'm looking for the recording to stop button so I can tell you, as they say, my time is up. Thank you for yours. See you next time on Sightline with Dr. C.